Hello everyone. Thanks for tuning into this video. I'm making it so I can bring you awareness to anyone seeking answers to today's problems affecting our personal and professional lives, mainly relationships. My name is Dr. Susan Lay. I have a combined 35 years experience in the science field. My focus has been integrating people and processes with today's ever-changing roadmaps. This includes people using their computers, people integrating with other people, people in their environments. All three of these areas are a derivative of our primal survival instincts, which predict how we interpret, respond, and react to issues challenging our lives. If you're still tuned in here, it's evident you're looking to resolve or learn what is happening in your life to gain clarity on an evasive, crazy problem. First, let me put your mind at ease. I'm not a licensed psychologist or any type of whistleblower. I am, however, a sensitive subject to repeated emotional trauma. I am moved to bring awareness to you regarding predator personality disorders. These disorders will wreck anyone's well-being. These disordered people have no boundaries. Their attempts to manipulate and destroy those close to them have no limits. This type of perpetrator gains enjoyment by subjecting the unknowing to implement manipulative maneuvers that trap them in relationships. Some of these relationships we choose. Some of them we're born into. It's unbelievable, right? Mind you, there's all kinds of predators. Identity theft predators, computer hacking predators, child pornography predators, rapists, thieves, killers. It's up to each one of us to become knowledgeable and aware of who we encounter, who we let into our lives, and counterattack when necessary. Passivity is not an option in some cases. I'm narrowing this malignant syndrome down to predators that gain our love and our trust and use our love against ourselves. These disordered people don't blatantly lie, cheat, and steal. It's very subtle. It's virtuously unnoticeable until it's too late. These disorders are referenced in the DSM-V. For those of you that haven't had a crash course in psychology in the last couple of years like I have, the DSM-V is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And the ones I'm referring to are Cluster B personality disorders. Cluster Bs encompass psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. I'm recording this to bring you facts to look for in your mate, your parent, your coworker, or an acquaintance. If you don't believe this syndrome is around you, just turn this video off. If you're still here, then you'll find the following information a sharp tool to add to your toolbox so that you're not a victim or a player in a game you know nothing about. I'm narrowing this down to just the narcissist segment. It seems to be such the growing topic right now. Mind you, the cluster B personality disorder that a narcissist falls into is that the same as a sociopath and a psychopath. These three harbor very similar traits and same patterns. You just thought a narcissist is somebody that thought really well of themselves, didn't you? So the first thing I want to bring up about a narcissist, which pretty much we all already know, is their grandiose sense of self. They're the best thing since sliced bread. Just ask them. With that grandiose sense of self, they will stop at nothing to gain what they want in their sights. They will come across as very selfish individuals. So here are some of their manipulation tactics to gain their selfish behaviors satisfaction. So first is the victim. Now, a victim would fall in my reference as a covert narcissist. There's something wrong with them. They don't feel good. They got an owie. They're a victim. The whole world's against them. They're looking for your pity. And folks that are out there, from my experience, is that the kind-hearted, giving individuals as a normal operating mode, this is a magnet for you. You want to help. You want to see them better. You're going to give them what they need, so on and so forth. Especially if it's your parent because you feel obligated. If it's your mate because you want them to get them better. I mean, these are manipulation tactics at the finest, okay? Because they've already hooked you in one way, shape, or form. Another way is they're going to be the best lover on the planet. If you're, they are all about how many notches in the bedpost they can put in there. And they want to be the best. Better than anybody else you've ever had. Another trait is a workaholic. They're the top of their field. They're the best there's ever been at what they do. They could be the mailroom guy, but you would think that they were the VP. So, workaholic. The elitist. So, I don't need to go more into that. We see that over on social media everywhere, don't we? And then there's the martyr. The one that sacrifices the most to give everybody else what they need. Also, another trait's a conversation hoarder. Have you ever been in a group of people where somebody just consistently is all about them and they want to convey and it's about them and they want to convey and it's about them and they want to convey? And anybody who tries to push another topic in or have a sideline discussion, they will talk louder to bring that conversation back to them. They are getting your attention. They're manipulating the conversation. They interrupt. You probably have that at work. You could be piled high in something and they don't care. They're going to bust right on in, and I'd call them drive-bys or fly-bys or walk-ins. So, they interrupt. Another trait's are a rule breaker. Rule breakers, yeah. So if the law doesn't apply to them, no, it really doesn't. And you'll notice that along in your sociopaths. If you've seen any movies or, heaven forbid, you've been involved with anybody that's a sociopath, they're forever better than the law. They're a boundary violator. If you've drawn a line in the sand that you don't like something, that is a wide open invitation to a cluster B personality person. They're going to dig if they find any of your weaknesses, just to set you off balance a little more. They are a false image projector. They will say that they're something else that they're not. I'm sure you've seen stories about this. I would say be sure and keep your thinking cap on with the folks around you. If they're stating that let's just for instance, I knew of a story where this guy had multiple heart attacks, right? But yet he would go out and golf the next day. Now, would anybody really be on the golf course if they were having multiple heart attacks? You need to ask yourself these things. You know, there's not anybody else in life that's made of steel. So if it goes against the grain, it probably is not true. Entitlement. Let's just say Bill Cosby. Well, let's make some big bucks and let's use everybody around me any way, shape I can. So, yeah, entitlement. Charmers. Smooth talkers, charmers. They're going to make you feel like $1 million so they can hook you. They have negative thought patterns. If they can do something to torque you, that's all the better for them. They are energy vampires. They're going to feed off of your retaliation efforts, whether it be response in disgust or heightened voice, whatever. They are living in a cesspool of negative thoughts, and they are just dying to get you in there with them. And they're master manipulators. If you're not too sure about different manipulation tactics, I will tune you into a few here, but for a good self-guide on this, just so you can remain confident through any type of interaction with these characters, that if you're doing something that doesn't feel right to you, if you are made or asked to do something that is against who you are, then you've been manipulated or you're being controlled. And even brainwashed if you've been around them for a long time. So those are just a few of the personality traits of a cluster B personality disordered person, specifically more narcissist. Again, cluster Bs are a psychopath, sociopath, and a narcissist. Everybody thinks, oh, narcissist is a pretty flimsy thing, but it's really not. It's really not. So here we go into another section about tactics that narcissists will use to silence you. So I'm talking about that manipulation, control. It's all about control. Control, control, control. They're going to control everything around them. All right, so here we go. They will gaslight you. Now, gaslighting is a psychological manipulation intended to make somebody question their perception of reality. So it's to throw you off balance. It's to throw you off balance as to what you know to be true. The term comes up from a movie called Gaslight, but it's a husband in this movie that chips away at his wife's mental security by suggesting she's imagining things all the time. That I think he flips lights off or dims them, and she sees that they're dim, and he denies that they're dim. So they claim things that didn't happen when they did. Or that they'll accuse you of imagining something that didn't happen. It's a super damaging tactic because it will cause you to question your sense of reality. So when this happens, try not to engage. And I want to go through all these different scenarios, but bottom line, get away, disengage. Put some space between you, whatever. You will not affect this in anything that you do. You cannot affect it. It will affect you. I'm going to call it it. So get away from it. You don't have to convince the narc or try to win any of these arguments. You really don't. Maintain your perspective. Give yourself credit and know that you're not making stuff up and that you are valid. You're certainly valid. The next thing that they'll use is shaming. This is also a classic manipulation tactics. Gosh, parents use shaming quite a bit. It might seem obvious when somebody's shaming someone else, but it's also could be like an underlying current that you might not pick up on if a narcissist engages in it, because you're willing to let things go a little bit if it's a person close to you. So this is why it's so insidious, is because it's somebody that you've already allowed in, that you've started trusting them, you love them, you're going to make excuses for them, they're a part of your family. So a lot of these rules don't apply, but I encourage you, do not lose your touch of reality. You know what's right, what's real, and what's not. They use the shame to diminish who you are. If you feel really guilty or shameful about a situation, you're going to sink back. You're going to withdraw. It's to break you down. If you have any kind of self-worth or self-esteem, or if you're a strong person, if you're smart, there's these tactics will slowly erode your sense of direction. Excuse me here, let's see. See, the reason why is the narcissist will place themselves as the adult and the other person as a child. So if you see shaming coming in, remind yourself you're not 3 years old and you don't need any kind of correction from another adult, especially if you are an adult. So the belittlement is done in several condescending ways, literally by talking down to you, calling you immature, saying you need to grow up, implicating that they are better and they're more mature, so they're trying to get the upper hand on you. This is an upper hand technique. And nobody needs to be subservient to anybody on this planet. And these folks are walking every day to try and find somebody to bow down to them. And here again, in the shaming segment, don't respond. Distance yourself, get away, don't engage. You're not going to win. You're not going to prove yourself right. It's a game. It's a game. That's nothing more than what it is. It's a game. And you're not going to win. You will not win this game. Another tactic they use is diversion. It can be really, really frustrating to have someone in the middle of a conversation change a subject. They do it to avoid responsibility. If you're trying to nail down something down, pin something down, gain clarity on something, they'll divert. And it can become a very dangerous game because it's used to derail conversations. And if a narc feels that you're getting closer, you're penetrating areas that you're trying to hold them accountable for, they will respond with hostility. I'm going to take a break on this fact-finding mission for a minute because I do want to emphasize the importance that these are dangerous individuals. Now, they're going to laugh. They're going to poo-poo what I say. Oh, poo-poo. I already hear them now. It's a dangerous game, especially if they respond in hostility. You don't know where their anger will take them. And especially if they continually play these games, which they've had since the beginning of time, you don't know what's real, what's not with them, because they've not ever shown it to you. So, again, get away. The next tactic to silence you is triangulation. They always want to look like that they're more credible than anybody else. So they want to dismiss your feelings. So they'll bring another person into the mix to stack the deck in their favor. Say, well, see, so-and-so says it this way too. And they'll be over there nodding like their other puppet. And you're starting to look like you're the crazy one. Because all these people are coming up with these the sighted view of the narc, and you're the one man out. This is really sad when they bring in somebody that you trust and adore to diminish you as well. And one thing I've noticed when I started peeling back the layers off of the narcs in my life, and I plural narc because I said that I'm a subject of repeated emotional trauma, that I had quite a few of them around me. Quite a few. And I started thinking of character traits with each one of them. But when they group up and come at you, what do you say? You could look like the crazy one, but please know that you're not crazy. You've not done anything to deserve this. And don't be embarrassed or shameful. This is a personality disordered person that's come into your life because they saw a way to get in, and then they're trying to capitalize on it. So another tactic they'll use is projection. Projection is taking your own thoughts and feelings or behaviors and pushing them onto others. For example, a boyfriend who is highly suspicious of his girlfriend, who repeatedly accuses her of cheating, despite her having given no evidence to support his suspicions. So he's projecting his own wandering eye or sexual indiscretions onto her. There's a lot of different kinds of projection: neurotic, complementary, and some people project on occasion anyway. Narcissists frequently use projection as psychological abuse. And the way you know that's coming at you is that they accuse you of shit you're not doing. Period. They're accusing you of shit that you hadn't even thought of doing. And they're so good at going, they've done it so often. Let's put it this way. They are so experienced at it that they can use all the facets that are involved in what they're accusing you of to make you have those feelings. See, because you can feel, they do not. So once they start bubbling up those feelings in you, you can say, well, yeah, maybe, you may start agreeing with them. So again, don't engage, don't converse, get away. Another thing they do is name calling. You bitch, you whore, you bastard, you asshole. On and on and on. It shows the childlike behavior into name calling, does it not? And you'd think they wouldn't stoop to those levels if they've done such refinement to make themselves so much better than everybody else, but they do name call. Stupid bitch, crazy ass. I mean, I've heard some terminology I'd never even dream of. A bad nickname, like they'll call you pumpkin, or I know there's some terms of endearment, but please note that if this is a disordered individual, there's no endearment to it. Everyone else can see the manipulation tactics except for you. I'll leave it at that. Alright, so after each one of these, or most after each one of them, I said get away, get out, put distance between you. It's really hard to overcome these manipulation tactics, especially when it's your partner. And 35% of women report emotional abuse from a partner or spouse. That's too high of a number. Why would anybody that you actually love or supposedly loves you would want to abuse you? I mean, it's unfathomable. But it happens. It absolutely happens. So, the only way to win at this is not to play. Do not play. Use your support system. If you have a few individuals in your life that you can actually trust, just let them know you need to get out. Don't go into the gory details. Make your escape. Plan it. Prepare for it. Keep secret about it. But get away. So, the other thing I want to bring forward is, what else did I want to talk to you about? What I found with one of the narcs that I had encountered is the silent treatment. Now, I don't even really have a good explanation for silent treatment. I'm a communicator. I like to talk. Even if it's uncomfortable, I'll relate. Maybe to my detriment. But when you're getting the silent treatment, this is an act of completely ignoring a person. It is used as a passive-aggressive form of communication. It's to convey contempt, disapproval, and displeasure. Narcs use this as a tactic when you confront them about something they've done wrong. Man, if you want to shut a narc down, use the silent treatment. Or they call it gray rock. Silent treatment, gray rock. Okay, so they're going to use the silent treatment. You, as a defense mechanism, you're going to use gray rock. So you're not going to respond, react, engage. You're not going to do any more than necessary because you do not want to supply or feed this disorder at all. So How do you respond to a narc that's using the silent treatment? Realize it first that they're doing it to you to control you, or to punish you, to invalidate you, or just to get you to shut up. Realize the chronic use of silent treatments is emotional abuse, folks. Silent treatment in a long-term situation, I would consider long-term a week in a repeated offense. Let's say a week you have it good, a week you have it off, a week you have it good, a week you have it off. So if it continually rolls around to silent treatment, that is emotional abuse. Do not continue the argument or do not start a new one. Do not beg for their attention. Do not blame yourself for these actions. They are responsible for their behavior. Don't attempt to make them talk to you. Don't apologize when you've not done anything wrong. Don't accept any of their projections and negative messages as true. Don't let the silence play to your fear of abandonment. Good narc supply, as a young child, got instilled in their makeup, their thinking, the fear of abandonment. Somewhere, somehow, you've gotten fearful of being left. So don't let it play into this, because the silence treatment will not abandon you. If they wanted to abandon you, they would have already been gone. If you need emotional support or company, call a family friend or family member. Now, I know a lot of people says, get your family involved, get your family involved. Mind you, there are certain family members that you might not want to reach out to at this time. Please be sure to go through anybody that's caused you any emotional abuse during the whole time you've been on this planet Earth. You don't want to engage. Okay? Get all the emotional abuse out. Learn all you can about emotional abuse and how you can defend yourself about it. And lastly, do not let their silence bother you. Do not show them that it ever bothers you. Continue on about your day like nothing else has ever happened. So those are the first few things about narcs. I'm going to be making some subsequent videos on what red flags, deal breakers, if you're starting with a relationship, long-term relationship, what's a covert narc, an overt narc. Again, I've had a crash course in psychology in the last couple of years. I've had my head in the science field for longer, but I wanted to share with you what I've learned and get you on the path of healing. Thank you again for tuning in, and this is Technically Speaking. Have a good day.